Hello, my name is Julia Kuzer, and I am currently a third year student at Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine. Welcome to the first AIAMC Medical Student Podcast. As part of this podcast, we aim to highlight medical students and to focus specifically on adversities these medical students have overcome in pursuit of being our future healthcare providers. I am really excited to talk today with Ratna Ramaraju, a current OMS2 at LECOM Bradenton in Florida. Ratna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. It's really excited just to hear everything from a med student's perspective because we
Yeah.
are, ultimately going to be the future providers.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for sure.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and just briefly, like what, thinking way far back, but probably a question you got asked ad nauseum in med school interviews, but what do you think piqued your interest originally in medicine?
Yeah, so I actually kind of grew up all over the place, all over the world. So I was born in India, and both my parents immigrated there, immigrated from there to the US when I was really young, like I think I was like around 4. And so I've been living here ever since. And I would say the first thing that kind of piqued my interest was going to doctor's visits with my mom and having that sort of almost communication barrier between her and the physician because she didn't really understand what the doctor was saying, or there were just issues mostly because of the fact that we had recently immigrated. And so that was a difficulty that I saw pretty early on. And having grown up in Texas for the last like 10 years, I've had the opportunity to visit the Texas and Mexico border a couple of times and go to the centers there. And I think the one experience that really solidified like pursuing medicine for me was just talking to those people because I think I'm personally a proponent of the belief that everyone should be given healthcare, regardless of your financial socioeconomic status. And so hearing that they weren't getting the healthcare that they needed, it really affected me. And so I think those two experiences really pushed me to pursue medicine, and also just the fact that I love talking with other people and just wanting to help other people. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I think it does make us feel reassured, in some regards about the future of medicine, the fact that you're advocating so much for accessible healthcare and, helping individuals who may not have the best access to healthcare. So I think the fact that you're really moved and motivated by that is, just really exciting and something that
Thank
I
you.
think we really hope that healthcare providers are motivated by.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess another question I wanted to ask is there a specific adversity, if you want to elaborate on like language barriers and the difficulties that is posed, but just in general, have there been any specific adversities and how has that informed how you plan on practicing medicine in the future?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest adversity I faced thus far in my medical career has been needing to repeat my first year of medical school. And the first time I did medical, or the first year of medical school, I think I just didn't realize how mentally and emotionally taxing it is. And I really let that affect me. I think I kind of lost myself for a little bit. Um, which I hope if any medical students are listening, don't ever sacrifice who you are or don't lose yourself in this process, because that's what makes you you, and that's what'll make you a great physician in the future. But yeah, I think I didn't realize that I had, testing anxiety until I came to medical school. That was something I never experienced in undergrad or even taking the MCAT. And so um, all of those combined, it didn't really make for a really good first attempt at first year. So I repeated first year again. And the second time around, I think the biggest thing I learned was quite literally you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And I think I realized I am a bigger barrier to myself than pretty much everyone else. Um, it truly is a mental game, I think, in medical school because you have to tell yourself, I am good enough. I am worthy of being here. And after having repeated first year all over again, now I'm getting to experience so many more things. I genuinely think it was the best thing I could have done for myself because not only do I feel like my medical knowledge is better, but I've just been given so many opportunities like through repeating and through also, like being able to sit here and talk to you or being like I'm a member of the AMA Women in Medicine Committee. Like that's something I never would have imagined myself being a part of as someone who repeated a year of medical school. So that was definitely one adversity I faced. And of course, the language barriers, always having to translate for my mom at the doctor's office or my dad at the doctor's office. Just from a very young age, I've always had to like explain stuff to my mom. And it's really it's a lot when I think the first I can remember was when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I was in the doctor's office with our family physician and having to explain to my mom, like, "Oh, like, this is what blood work means," or, stuff like that. And so, um, I that's an adversity I would say, like, my family experienced, but it's also one that a lot of immigrant families experience. Majority of America, is made up of immigrants, you know? And so I think just having that adversity in a way also inspires me to advocate for that patient population in the future. And I just really hope that I can make a difference for them and make healthcare, like you said, more accessible because everyone deserves healthcare.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, everyone, in a way, that's one of the most fundamental things. If you don't have
Yeah.
healthcare, it's kind of like, if you don't have the ability to um, focus on your health, then it's kind of like, what else do you have then?
Yeah.
Um, and I just think the way you explain things, when you said sometimes you can get lost in
Yeah.
in the material you're learning, and I feel like I felt victim to that. It's just so much, and you have to learn so much at one time. And kind of the same thing for me. I felt I did better when I saw how medicine related to my interest in advocacy or my other interests. Whereas like just trying to learn the material presented to you and not having
Yeah.
the context, I think it just kind of like, for me, if I feel like I would like try to like go through books and then it would just go through one
Yeah.
ear. Well, it's just like you lost it as soon as you tried to
For sure.
retain it.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. And, another thing is because I repeated first year, I was able to give a talk to the incoming first years this year, now as a second year, and just sort of tell them about my experience. And the one thing I told them is like, take care of yourself. Like, you cannot care for other people if you do not take care of yourself first. And yes, medicine is important. It's what you're in school for, but it's not your whole life. There's other things outside of medicine that you should pursue and that you shouldn't have to give up the things that you enjoy. And sort of like how you were saying, like, I'd like for me, it's pretty much the same thing. Like, I'll be reading a textbook, but I'll be reading the same line like over and over and over again because I just get lost in it. Like, it's just not sticking. But, you know, I didn't realize how much advocacy was involved in medicine until I started medical school and I realized, okay, this is what I want to do. Like these are the people I want to help and this is how I want to help them. And so now every time I read like a section of a textbook, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't making sense to me, but we'll make sense of it so that in the future I can help my patients get the best care possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, who you ultimately do it for. And I think, having that context of like, oh, I have to learn um I'm studying for step two. Like I have to learn the difference between the microangiopathic hemolytic anemias because a patient could be devastated by this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like just keeping it patient centered really gives it the context and not only solidifies the material, but also just kind of brings that joy and that I feel like engagement back into medicine.
Yeah, I agree. I think, obviously as a second year, I haven't been able to go on clinical rotations yet, but my school does case-based learning. So we learn all of the basic sciences through various medical cases. And even just like going through the cases, like there's stuff I remember because I saw it in a case. Because I mean, at one point, this was a real patient. They've adopted real patient cases for us. Um, and so I think just having the ability to connect it to your patients or to your future patients makes it so much more exciting and also just easier, I think, to sit down and study for like extended periods of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for speaking today.
Yeah,
Again,
of
this was
course.
Ratna Ramaraju. And, it was really great hearing your story and how you've overcome adversity. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much for meeting today. And
Yeah.
I'm really, it was really great being able to talk to you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.